Most people think that stress comes from work, money, or parenting, but your home might also be quietly adding to it. As an architect, I've seen how design impacts our stress levels more than we realize, and today I'm sharing 5 hidden design mistakes that are quietly raising your stress levels, and I'm also going to explain how to fix them. And I'm going to skip the usual advice about decluttering because the real issue goes deeper than that. No big budget, no renovation, just a few design tweaks to make your home feel calmer, lighter, and more peaceful. So let's get into number 1, mismatch between your needs and the design of your space. Our lives are constantly evolving, new routines, changing careers, growing families, or even shifting personal goals. Yet the design of our home often remains the same. We are reluctant to make changes to our spaces. The reason for that are endless. We might not be willing to accept that our lives have fundamentally changed. We feel insecure about how to go about making those changes and keep postponing the process. Maybe we don't have the budget to do this right now, or maybe we underestimate how much of a problem this is. The disconnect between who we are now and how our space functions can create a certain amount of friction, tension, and stress. Think of yourself as a crab that has outgrown its old shell. Holding on to that old form limits your growth, freedom, and well-being. So start by evaluating your current lifestyle. Has your family grown or perhaps become smaller? Do you now work from home, pursue new hobbies, or need perhaps a quieter space? Realigning your home to match these shifts will support your new lifestyle objectives instead of hindering them. This might mean transforming a spare bedroom into a home office, or simply increasing the storage capacity of your entryway to reduce the clutter of your growing family. Or you might consider adding modular or multifunctional furniture if you live in a small space to adapt quicker to your ever-changing needs. These changes don't have to be large or drastic, but they do require you to acknowledge the changes in your lifestyle and take small steps towards adapting your space to your new reality. Number 2, personalization. Personalizing a space is the key to making it truly yours. At work, you might add a family photo and a tiny plant on your desk. At home, it might mean adding a family gallery wall or displaying various trinkets you have gathered during your travels. Personalizing a space increases our comfort and ease in a space, and it contributes to our overall happiness and well-being at home. However, the two situations when it can become stressful is at the extremes, where it is not enough or it is too much. Let me explain. A lack of personalization often affects renters or those in shared housing, where rules or limitations prevent them from altering their living space. Without the ability to display your identity through color, artwork, or your furniture of choice, you may begin to feel disconnected from the environment and a disconnection from your sense of self. You feel like a guest in your own home, and this can create an underlying sense of unease. So look for tiny ways to make a space your own. Even small interventions can make a big difference. You can use a shelf to display personal items, for example, toy collectibles. You can introduce personal textiles, throw blankets, or rugs that speak of your cultural heritage and style preferences. These elements not only reinforce self-identity, but also create a sense of control and belonging, both known to reduce stress. On the flip side, too much personalization can be detrimental, especially when it compromises function, and can also contribute to stress, particularly for others who live or visit the home. We are all very creative, and I can understand that the standardized furniture we surround ourselves with can be limiting and impersonal at times. However, the problem arises when decorative choices interfere with everyday use. For example, placing stones around the toilet may look unique, but it makes cleaning very difficult and it raises hygiene concerns. Similarly, using tufted or upholstered surfaces in the kitchen may be a great eye-catcher in the showroom of a couch maker, but at home it introduces absorbent materials into a space where cleanliness is critical. And studies confirm that porous surfaces can harbor bacteria, increasing health risks. So while a space may feel very personal and unique, it can also become a health hazard. Striking a healthy balance between self-expression and functionality ensures that your home supports both your emotional needs and your daily routines without being a threat to your health. Number 3. Poor planning. There's a saying in design, fail to plan, plan to fail. I can't sit here as an architect and not talk about the stress that comes from living in poorly planned spaces. When your design decisions ignore ergonomics, the size of the human body, how people move, function, and feel, and sometimes just basic common sense, the home begins to generate stress instead of relieving it. Poor planning reveals itself in multiple ways, often small but deeply impactful. A cramped layout, for example, makes opening doors and drawers a real struggle. When you don't have enough space to pull out a chair and have to squeeze between it and the table to sit down, when light switches are placed out of reach or small entryways quickly become cramped, all these design decisions ignore basic needs of everyday living. Undersized kitchens with tiny fridges, for example, can make you rely less and less on fresh food for your meals and more on products that can last longer on the shelf, which can negatively impact your overall health. And then there's safety. Slippery tiles next to tubs, sharp-edged objects placed centrally, or dimly lit spaces with steep staircases can be major stress elements and real threats to human health. These aren't minor oversights, these are design decisions that can cause a lot of challenges at home. So make sure to take ergonomics, safety, and accessibility into account when looking for or planning a home. Number 4, messiness. Have you ever been called messy as if it's a fixed part of your personality, like being kind, funny, creative, and messy? The truth is, messiness isn't a character flaw. For most people, it's a storage flaw. When our homes don't have enough space to store our belongings, clutter naturally builds up around us. And while a little mess here and there seems harmless, ongoing visual chaos can silently drain your energy and stress you out. Studies show that cluttered spaces are linked to elevated cortisol levels, especially in women who have to manage household responsibilities. The brain interprets clutter as an unfinished task, creating a background hum of stress and fatigue. To combat this, I encourage you to rethink your storage. Not just how much you have, but also how accessible and well placed it is. Why are so many things lying around on countertops and the floor? Do you have a good place to put them, or do you have to squeeze them somewhere? How might you expand your storage? How might you make putting things away easier? A few ideas are to use closed storage to reduce visual distraction and give drawers or boxes a category like socks, t-shirts, or small toys, rather than focusing on neatly arranging different types of things in one drawer. This will help you put away and finding things much easier. Number 5, emotional weight and fragility. Not all personalization brings comfort. Some objects in our homes carry emotional weight that quietly contributes to stress. These are items we keep not because they bring us joy, but because they're tied to guilt, grief, or obligation. A gift you dislike but feel guilty discarding. Furniture inherited from a relative you had a complicated relationship with, or even decor tied to a painful chapter in your life. These objects can suddenly reinforce negative emotions every time you see them. Instead of supporting your sense of well-being, personalization in this form becomes a daily, unspoken reminder of unresolved feelings, loss, or unwanted obligations. Similarly, be aware of items that are particularly fragile. Living with items that can easily shatter can also create an underlying sense of stress. This can be delicate vases placed in high-traffic areas, high-gloss lacquer furniture where every scratch or dust speck shows, glass coffee tables whose image can easily deteriorate with just a few fingerprints or get easily chip or crack. Decorative porcelain figurines or made of crystal are always at risk to be knocked over. These items that can easily shatter or look significantly worse with a little bit of use can create an underlying stress that prevents us from truly relaxing at home. Walk through your home and pay attention to your reactions. Do some items feel heavy, tense, or perhaps draining? If so, consider whether their presence still serves you. Letting go of emotionally burdensome items or those that are highly fragile doesn't mean disregarding their significance. It means prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being. You don't have to make drastic changes. You can start small by storing away a few pieces temporarily and observe how the room feels without them. If you're not yet ready to part with something entirely, find a way to reframe it, repurpose it, relocate it, or limit its impact on your emotional well-being. Replace emotionally loaded decor with items that bring comfort, inspiration, or joy. A home that is filled with intention, not obligation, fosters emotional clarity and relaxation. Our homes are the spaces where we retreat to recharge or decompress from our daily life, but with a few poor design decisions, they can just as easily pile on more stress. The good news is that small design shifts can turn that around. Make one change, see how it feels, and keep going. Do you want more tips on how to feel happier at home? Check out this video.